Welcome back to Where Rams Walk. This week it's Nyambe's injury, which is the talk of the town. First of all, just how bad is it and what does it mean for Derby? And more importantly, this week, who on earth did they replace him with? To discuss that, we've got Darren and Peyton, and thank you very much for watching. Hope you're well. This is Where Rams Walk. All right, then Nyambe's injury is devastating for Derby, but how much will he be missed and who replaces him? Peyton, what's your thoughts?
I think we go to 5 at the back, and then Kane Wilson will come in. Nat Phillips starting, which will be good to see.
How much of a miss do you think he's going to be, Peyton? I mean, crikey, it's one of the players you wouldn't want to see in the injury room.
I mean, Warren said it himself. He's like, if he's injured and goes down like he did, he's injured and he'll be out for a while. And that says a lot. And he's a really important player. He's incredible defensively. And going forward, he's a lot better than he was. And he'll be missed, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, been amazing this season so far, Darren, hasn't he, for you? And what would you do to replace him?
Well, this is the problem, you see, because Nyambe, he plays in a back four. Well, the minute he goes down, as Peyton said, it looks like we're going to have to switch to a 5 because the two guys we've got over there, Kane Wilson, a player I really like, actually, but he's a lot more attacking, as is Joe Ward. So I think the problem is we might have to go to a 5 at the back, and we haven't done so well with a 5 at the back. It's, Paul Warren's tried to persevere with that a few times, and we've done better with 4 at the back. So, yeah, it might necessitate a shift in personnel back there. So, yeah, he really is a key player for us.
Okay. What do you think? Drop us a comment below. Let's have a chat about the Millwall game. We're obviously recording this before the Oxford midweek game, but let's get your opinion on Millwall. Peyton, were you happy with a point from that game?
I mean, it wasn't exactly a classic, was it? It wasn't amazing. A point probably is the fair result, but the fact that I think if they'd have gone 1-0 up, I think Warren said it in his interview, if they'd have gone 1-0 up in the 5th minute and we'd have equalised when we did score, no one would have been complaining. Great point. But the way it happened, it kind of made it a little bit bittersweet. But I think it was a game that was played and there was a draw. I think that's about all you can say.
Okay. We'll come and talk about the referee in a minute, Darren. But in terms of the Derby performance, does it look as if like we're getting our away stuff together now that, this is the first away point that you've taken? Do you look a more accomplished side on the road?
It's a hard one. I said earlier, you can look at these Derby performances either way. I mean, if you look at it from a sort of a half glass empty sort of negative perspective, it was an ugly game, a really ugly game. I think Peyton said it right. I mean, a draw was lucky for us, really. It didn't look like we could pass the ball at times, which is terrible. However, if you're looking through Paul Warren's eyes, he's gone to a hard place. We don't really get results at Millwall. He's come away with a point. Maybe heartbreaking not to get the full points given how late Yates scored, but. I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know, Mark, yet whether we've hit upon a formula, but I suppose, first point away of the season, let's hope it's the first step.
Okay. I do like your yellow kit, by the way. I think it looks classy. Yeah. Something very right about Derby and yellow for some reason. Okay, Peyton, let's talk about the referee. Lots of Derby fans now getting very fed up with the AFL, and I think you've got a point. I'm not sure you have a point in this game, but you'll argue that with me. You seem to be getting the rub of the green from the referees. Is that fair to say?
I think that's the best way to put it. I think the fact that this game we had a penalty shout not given because it was offside, although he was miles onside. The offside incorrect decisions happen. I think if it hadn't led to a penalty, different story. No one would have been that bothered. Clean tackle, straight on with the game. It was offside, but it happens in a match. Linesman get it wrong. but it happens way too often. And definitely with this referee, we've had a bit of experience with him against Forest, which led to a little bit more of a disdain from our side. But I think the poor refereeing didn't change the result in a way that was too bad, like Norwich and like we've had in the past. But we had it in League One. We're going to have it in the Championship. If we get in the Premier League, it's going to be there. It happens. You've just got to live with it.
Mark, are we allowed to mention the referee's name?
Oh, Stuart Atwell. Of course you can. Yes.
Stuart Atwell. Yeah, Stuart Atwell. My God. Right. So everything, he's blowing the whistle. Everything. I'm sure Peyton will agree. It was the most stop-start game you've ever seen, and it's just it just takes the fun out of it. He's such a wishy-washy referee. Yeah. He was the third official today in one of the Premier League matches, and he didn't make a decision then. So I don't know. He's a wishy-washy referee, Stuart Atwell.
Well, hopefully, when Derby get a good referee, please come on and tell us. Yeah, come on, let's. There must be some out there. Okay, let's have a look at some tweets from the game then, shall we? Let's get your views on some of this. Dog says, "I'll take that," but Phillips must start the next game, though. Darren, do you believe? Is that right?
Well, I mean, I think the thing here is that it's Curtis Nelson. I think Curtis Nelson got a bit of heat yesterday for the equaliser, but I mean, he's been fantastic for us, Curtis Nelson. I mean, a few little mistakes are creeping into his game, and I think that's the difference between League One and the Championship. You make a mistake in League One, you might get away with it in the Championship. You've got deadlier finishers, and so. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can see why there's a clamour. I mean, Nat Phillips. I mean, he was real up and coming player for Liverpool. I think I'd stick with Curtis Nelson, but and I think Paul Warren will, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Peyton Dan says first point to the road is a start and a goal for Yates. We've got to take the positives. Ram in Sweden says it's a good point. Poor performance though. We gave the ball away over and over again. We need to improve how we look after the ball. Today, the ball retention was awful, and that's been 100%. The similar case, hasn't it? Yeah, you agree with that, Peyton?
I think, yeah, it's a little bit. I've got to say, it's probably not. It's just not good enough for this league. I say trying to be nice to the players, but it's just not. Championship players, especially players like Kenzo Halmine, Curtis Nelson. These players have got experience in big competitions and especially championship experience with a few of them. The fact that you're giving the ball away as much as they do, it's not really good enough.
Yeah.
Okay. There were lots of, well, let's say lots. There were a few other tweets mentioning Blackett Taylor. Some saying, look, people have asked for him to come into the side and he's dropping woeful performances again and again and again. Peyton, what's your view on that particular take?
I mean, he probably should have started against QPR, but he didn't. And we won 2-0. No one complained. He came on, did okay. And then he's come in today, probably deservedly. He's had some great performances and he's not been amazing. But had he won the penalty that was not given because of the offside call, everyone had been going, great performance from Blackett Taylor, won us the penalty, got us that, So it's all fickle. I think had he dribbled past one player and put it in the box and got an assist, Blackett Taylor 10 out of 10. Okay. You can't complain. Mendes Langley back in the side.
Okay. All right. Fair enough then. Busy week then for Derby because we're back to a three three games in 7 days. Oxford at home and Hull at home. Sorry, Oxford away, and Hull at home. Darren, how do you see these two going?
Well, the Oxford game's interesting. So, I mean, they're very similar with us. They're on exactly the same amount of points. We had a couple of Derby lads go over there, including Louis Sibley, that was really highly thought of at Derby. So we thought he was going to kickstart his career, but he's not even starting. He's coming on as a sub. I noticed they play a 4-1-4-1 formation, which would be my chosen formation. I quite like that. So they seem quite... what's the word I'm looking for? They seem to know what they're doing. A lot of draws. They've had a lot of draws. They've won less, one game less than us, but they've drawn more than us. So, Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think Oxford came up as some people thinking they were going to be the whipping boys of the Championship, but they're doing all right. They're doing a lot better than Portsmouth, who obviously won League One last year. So I think it's going to be quite a tough game, actually. Again, I would take a draw. So that's my Oxford take.
Okay. Yeah, of course you came up with them, Peyton. Do you remember your happy memories of playing them in League One?
Well, the game at home we lost, and the game away though, that was an absolute classic. We were 2-0 down within 20 minutes, and then came back to win 3-2 in the 85th minute from Aaron Cashin. So that was a fun one.
We'll take that again.
Absolutely. Okay, then. Also, news this week of new investment, possibly for Derby. I don't know how you've read into this, but Paul Warner's said, well, it's too early to kind of say, it's not going to affect him at all. But David Clowes has been in talk with some potential new investments for majority ownership. Is it exciting, Peyton? Does this mean the end of financial uncertainty for the Rams?
I think we're not financially uncertain right now. However, I believe with the people that have been linked, they've had a lot of experience in football, not in English football, but they've had a lot of experience in football, and they look exactly the right kind of people to bring us forward. They're American, which puts a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth because of Kirchner. Yeah. But if they know what they're doing, Clowes trusts them, and he stays around the club as chairman, which I believe is what he stipulated when he has put the club out. I can't see why it's not a bad thing. And if they've got money, I wouldn't mind having some more money because, yeah.
Mark, you have to be very careful with the word investment and Derby County in the same sentence, because Peyton will tell you this is not our first rodeo, Mark. We've had crypto billionaires that don't have any money. We've had a guy from Spain who was tweeting pictures of his house. This beautiful house, turns out it wasn't actually his house. We've been down. We've had some shady investors in our time, going all the way back to Robert Maxwell. So we're hardened, us Derby boys. So we'll when it's signed, then we'll see.
Okay, all right. Drop us a comment below as to what your views are on potential investment into Derby County. Finally, this week then, Halloween is around the corner. So in the light of that, we're asking you both, who's the scariest player that you've ever watched in a Derby County shirt? Before we do that, drop yours in the comments. In the comments below, there's a few I can think of that I've watched Derby at Goodison over the years and thought, crikey. Peyton, who's the one for you that you were happy was on your side?
When we went down into League One, we signed a very laughed at striker, David McGoldrick. Everyone laughed at him. He was pretty much laughing stock in the Premier League when they almost broke our points records. Came to us, and when he didn't play, we lost. And when he did, he scored. And he scored a lot and assisted a lot. And he was incredible.
Darren?
Nasty. So we've had some big lump centre halves over the years. We're famous for centre halves, I think, Derby. I think that's if you look at our great players in the past, a lot of centre halves, McFarland and Todd. Hard men centre halves we've had. Igor Stimac sticks out for me, real hard man. Jake Buxton's a modern day hero. He was nasty. But in terms of winding up opposition supporters, I think Jamie Ward did a good job on the left wing. He put his foot in. He never shied away from a tackle, would wind up opposition fans. So and we had big Darren Moore as well. So yeah, any of them, they were all pretty nasty.
Okay. Robbie Savage, I tend to remember as
scary.
Yeah. Scary for us, Mark. That was scary times.
I mean, scary and nasty could be what's his name? Oh my god, I can't think of his name. I didn't know.
It's gone. Okay. That nasty. All right.
Yeah.
Can you beat any of those that Peyton or Darren have named? Drop them in the comments below. Right, you two. Thank you very, very much this week. We'll see you on the other side of the Oxford and your weekend game as well. We'll catch you next week. Have a great week. Enjoy your football.